Week 3 recap, a lot to cover. We'll talk about what we've learned from the week, but before that, let's talk trades. Because I saw there's some people on the trade block. Your league hasn't traded yet, but there's some folks on the block, so let's talk about that. Let's also talk about the trades that went on in my league, because I made 2, and I think it's interesting to see where guys are getting valued elsewhere. So we'll start with my league really quick. So there's been 3 trades. 2 of them have been me. I always lead the league in transactions and trades, and I also lead the league in most championships, so don't doubt me. But everyone in my league's very into it, like this league as well. So with my team, I saw an opportunity to upgrade at the RB position, even though I already had decent depth. I saw Zach Moss as a short-term commodity that I could sell at a higher value than I'm probably going to get in a couple of weeks, knowing that there's a chance JT gets traded and Zach Moss's value stays up. But I felt that risk benefit, the cost benefit of trading him kind of benefited me if I sent him away, given that there was more of a cost to what he could lose in value if JT came back. So anyway, aside from trying to sound smarter than I am, basically what I did was traded Zach Moss, Scary Terry, and Hollywood Brown for Kenneth Walker. There's one guy in my office that if he just saw me, I might get fired. Not kidding, he's a colleague. Yeah. So obviously a good trade up to this point. I'm a big believer in if you could trade depth for a higher value individual player, it's a no-brainer. Everyone kind of feels that way, but you have to put yourself in that position. I saw Hollywood Brown at 10 targets, opportunity to get some value out of him. Zach Moss playing so well. I think Zach Moss is fantastic. It's just with JT's less. It just felt like one of those deals I had to take. If JT gets traded, I still think I would do it. And I am a little bit nervous about the Kenneth Walker snaps share, but I still feel pretty good about what happened over there. So enough about that trade. The other trade I made was very small, and honestly, maybe I lost it, but I just picked up Zeke 2 days before the game. He got 16 carries or something, so I just traded him for Dalton Kincaid because both those guys don't need to be rostered, but I think Dalton has a high ceiling, and I need a tight end. My tight end is by far the worst part of my team. So I figured he's the highest because he is a receiving tight end. So if anyone's going to start clicking, it's a rookie tight end that's a primary receiving guy, not blocking, and getting at least 50% snap share. So we gave him a look, knowing that Zeke is completely injury dependent. I'm never going to play him, especially with my RB group. I mean, my RB group right now is, and obviously injuries happen, so you need depth, but my RB group is Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Kyron, who I'm obsessed with. He didn't play amazing. We'll talk about this stuff, but every single snap. And the most routes run out of any running back by a mile. He only has upside if he's healthy. It's crazy. But if he gets hurt because he's a small back, that just happens. That's fantasy. And then Kamara as my 4 running back. So anyway, enough about me, guys. 3 minutes on me, that's way too much. But I forgot what the other trade was. Oh, the other trade was two of the guys were irrelevant, but the main part of the trade was Lamar Jackson for Joe Mixon, basically, was the trade. Yeah. So obviously, I would prefer Mixon. Just in a redraft, Mixon's probably 3rd round. No, it's not a crazy gap, but I'd prefer running back always over quarterback. But I love Lamar. I'm a huge Lamar guy. I was actually going to trade for Lamar right before that guy offered a much better deal than I was going to offer. So anyway, that's that. On your trade block, we got Mostert, Trevor Lawrence, and Jamar Chase. I don't understand at all Jamar Chase and Lawrence being on the block. We got Trevor Lawrence. I'll look at the teams. Maybe there's just 2 good quarterbacks on that team, but Trevor Lawrence is a sell low right now. I would wait till he just does a Trevor Lawrence week, or what we'd anticipate, because he's low value. I would never sell a guy that's as low value as Trevor Lawrence is given the last 2 weeks. And Jamar Chase, he finally had a good game, but I mean, again, you might be looking at a top 3, top 5 wide receiver, probably looking at top 5, could be looking at top 3, like he was drafted. But right now, I don't think you're going to get that value. So I'm surprised by that. Mostert makes a ton of sense. Jeff Wilson coming back, he'll still be good, and he still probably will be the primary, but the way A-Chain, that's how you pronounce it, and Jeff Wilson coming back, I just can't imagine and 70 points. Can't imagine that much more coming from Mostert than you saw. But I mean, that's stupid because no one's going to perform like that. But I still don't think Mostert is RB1 material. I think he's a high-end RB2. But that's all estimates anyway. Let's talk about your league. First, I do want to issue my first apology. We'll start with this one. We're going to start with Sons of Chaos. Sons of Chaos, word came in that starting Eckler was an honest mistake. So no longer my enemy. And I apologize for even starting a beef that absolutely no one asked for. But, I like the drama. I like the drama. So it's back to El Granas being my enemy. Fuck you, El Granas. Okay, so so let's start with the guy that we were just talking about in Sons of Chaos. Sons of Chaos goes against Team El Captain. If everyone remembers, El Captain is a team that coming into the season we were very high on. My number one overall ranked team goes to 2-1, a must win given my ranking. Behind Zach Moss's 30.5, my guy Zach Moss. Again, I'm the highest on Zach Moss in the world, by the way, pre-JT. You have no idea how I was talking about him before I traded him away. Partly because I wanted to get some more value, but also because I think he deserved it. So yeah, I just wonder. I mean, when Zach Moss goes, it doesn't look like you actually have JT. So this team is going to be losing an important piece at running back. And with the Cam Akers turning into nothing, that's going to leave a bit of a gap on this team, especially during buys. So very curious to see where this team goes. You also lose Mike Williams for the season, despite a great game from him prior because of that long touchdown pass. So this team definitely missing some pieces that are exciting, and this team definitely going to take a little bit of a step down. Obviously, the world was shocked by the DK benching. That's not going to happen again. So Nico Collins over DK, wow, that is crazy. That is crazy. Wow, also Gabe Davis over DK. What did I miss with DK? I know he was like banged up, but they said clearly he was going to play. Wow. All right, but El Captain gets the win. So we give El Captain, who was our number one ranked team, and realistically, would I rank them number one at this point? Probably not. I said despite the injury, El Captain makes a playoff run, and I'll stick by that. But I'm not going to say that they're going to win it all. So I'm going to say not winning it all. I'm adding that to the prediction. So, wow. That's a very narrow prediction. It's not that narrow, I guess, saying playoff run and not winning it all. Last week, people called me crazy for it. People said, nah, he's done. Nah, he's done. I said, nah, not done. Nah. Sons of Chaos, 0-3, man. I mean, if you're Sons of Chaos at this point, you look in the mirror. I said this would be a bottom half team, thankfully. But I said it would be middle of the pack. New team to the league. Just wasn't ready for the big show. He just wasn't ready for the big show. I mean, guys come to this league. I should stand up, dude. My fitness is horrible today. I've been sitting, worked 10 hours today. Give me a freaking promotion, dude. I don't know this. Okay. So yeah, I mean, just wasn't ready for it. Ready for the bright lights. You got a taste of it. You got a taste of it, and you get to tell your grandkids, like, hey, I was in the big leagues before the relegation. And listen, I'm going to be rooting for Sons of Chaos. You know, if he says honest mistakes, he seems like a nice guy. I'm going to adjust I still am saying no playoffs. No playoffs, but I like this guy now. But let's root for him. Okay. Sons of Chaos is my new team. Because I do feel bad. I mean, you're new to the league and you start 0-3. And listen, there's talent here. Dak, Pollard, B-Rob, all good options. B-Rob, though, his snap share went down this week, so that's a little bit concerning. The wide receiver group, I mean, I hated all three guys you started. If you gave me a call like, hey, Rick, should I start into three guys, I'd say no. Of course, Eckler was hurt. Jalen Waddle was hurt. This team's going to look a lot different. But I'm very concerned about some of these wide receiver options for you. If I'm you, I look to make potentially a trade. You have a great RB group. Do you trade an RB wide receiver for a wide receiver one, low-end wide receiver one, a D-Hop and Rachaad White? Given Rachaad White's volume, a team that needs a running back, I could see you getting a really good wide receiver option. So let's see if anything comes to fruition there. But outside of that, Sons of Chaos, obviously, just people are just saying he wasn't ready. They're mad at Caesar for throwing him in too early. I mean, you can make an argument that the Jets. I'm a Jet fan, as you know. I mean, Zach Wilson maybe should have sat longer. Sam Darnold probably should have sat longer. Mark Sanchez actually was ready, even though he wasn't good. He got us to the AFC Championship game. But all to say, sometimes these guys, they're eager. They have the talent. Sons of Chaos has the talent, but when it comes to playing, you want to ease them in. And maybe Sons of Chaos just wasn't ready. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Okay, next up, Untouchables with a massive performance, 199 points against the team a girl I like just messaged me. I made a joke. I don't think it landed that well. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. You gotta riz it up. Hold on. I'm 29. I shouldn't be saying riz it up. Oh, my office. And still in that mode. She asked me what my job was, and I gave a detailed response, but like I was too formal about it. I don't know if I was trying to impress her. I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, no. Okay, so no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, Untouchables 199.74. Let's go to what's important. Finding my soulmate? No. Fantasy. 199.74 over Team the Chairman 155. Let's see who drove this large performance, because Derrick Henry only 2 points and he still put up 200 points. All right, Kirk Cousins at 36 points. Oh yeah, Mostert. This now I'm remembering. Mostert and Keenan Allen 100 points total. Absolutely insane. Keenan Allen was probably the guy, and I wasn't low on him, but I didn't draft him in any league. And I did say, I think in the recap, I said I'm a little bit nervous about injury with this wide receiver group, and Keenan Allen's getting older, so he might be number one risk. No, Mike Williams is actually number one risk, and Keenan Allen's a beast. So Keenan Allen would ball at my gym actually in San Diego. I'm from San Diego initially. Good guy, but also great football player. And I think now that Keenan Allen's proven to be wide receiver one, you combine him, Tyreek, and Olave. There's no better wide receiver group in this league. Untouchables is really coming into their own. Untouchables is a team that I said it's going to make the playoffs, and honestly, at this point, most are emerging. How can you say that it's not in the running for a potential chip? I mean, the running back group needs Derrick Henry to step up. Just absolutely needs it. I don't anticipate. Now it's not a bold prediction anymore. I also have no Derrick Henry shares, and I've avoided him at pick. I was mid-second round, and I was avoiding him in my draft. So I was very low on him, but wasn't this low. I still would have drafted him probably at the end of the third round, right around the Josh Jacobs territory. Both obviously not doing great. End of the second round. But yeah, this team, just everything is skyrocketing except for Derrick Henry. So can Derrick Henry keep up? I don't know, but I hope so. And as I said before last week, I believe that this is absolutely going to be a playoff team. So let's see if that does happen. Team the Chairman goes to 1-2. Tough loss. It was a team that I said was near the bottom. My predictions are pretty accurate. I'm sure I missed a lot here, but so far our predictions looking decent at this point. Our running back group, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris. I mean, Josh Jacobs, again, with volume, you have a decent floor. 11 points is near it. Obviously, last week was his worst week you'll ever see. But I do think Josh Jacobs has a lot of time to recover, especially the way that passing game is operating a lot better. Devontae's incredible. Najee, I mean, again, he's operating near their floor, but 7.5 points is a bad floor. I'm just very skeptical that Najee's going to be able to turn it around, given Jaylen Warren looking like a better back. Najee's not going to be the same volume as last season, and we know that offense and him are not that good. So at least he got a decent amount of volume because the running backs got a lot of action last week, but that's just how I feel. Tua, another monster game. Justin Jefferson, another monster game. This is another team at 155 points that I think beats most of the league, beats every team except for 2. So very bad luck for the Chairman to fall to 1-2. Again, I rated them near the bottom, so I can't act like I'm that upset. But the player I was most wrong, I guess not most wrong about, but I didn't think Tua was going to be what Tua is. And I will give you credit on drafting him and having a quarterback for the rest of the season that is probably better than a majority of the teams you're going to be playing against. So kudos there. The next matchup was Crucifier against El Grenas. Everyone already knows, obviously, how I feel about El Grenas. For Crucifier, I said there's a team that's going up. I said last week that I rated them near the bottom at the beginning, but they are skyrocketing up the rankings. 201 points. Now you really have to pay your respects. DeAndre Swift's emergence was obviously gigantic. Jared Goff is playing the football that you would hope he would play, which means Amon is playing the football you'd hope he would play. And Debo without Ayuk, no surprise, was very good. Of course, with Ayuk, Debo is a different looking player. I still think he's obviously startable, but I still have my hesitancies with him. But this wide receiver group, when Debo is Debo, at least the Debo that we saw without Ayuk, incredible team. So I do think, as it stands right now, this team is super strong with the addition of DeAndre Swift and Debo's rising value. Of course, you have A.J. Brown on the bench. It's hard not to say that this is going to be a playoff team. And I'm going to probably continue moving Crucifier up the rankings and say playoff team. It's basically written in stone. I don't know how you miss it at this point. Whereas on the flip side, you see El Grenas, who was 2-0, fall to 2-1. After 151, a good week also. This just lacked the explosion that other teams saw in certain players. This was just consistent production all around. And that's why I think El Grenas is still a strong team. I rated them preseason top half, number 5, I think. And I think that's pretty accurate. I think a lot of solid contributors. You, of course, want more from Jamar Chase. You lost a lot of value in Garrett Wilson. It's what we've talked about before. But I just think this is a case of like bad luck. I don't think El Grenas should go to the locker room and assault his players like I'm sure is his character to do so. I think ultimately he needs to continue to be a good leader. Try and stay distant from the organization. Let them do their thing. because you're not necessarily, just you got the right guys, but let them do them because you're toxic. You're unlikable. Damn, I kind of miss how much I hated him last season. I lost a little bit of the fire. I lost a little bit of the fire. It's a shame. Okay, next up is the matchup between El Professor falling to 0-3 against Paco Libre, going to 3-0. Paco Libre, a team that we said was near the middle to start off. But we said despite the 2-0 start, not going to finish in the top half. And listen, 145 points loses to a few teams, but you beat El Professor. You had El Professor on the calendar, and Joe Burrow is playing bad. I'm shocked you went with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was my quarterback, and I had to bench him. But Anthony Richardson hurt. I guess I get it. You bench Ford. Wow, a lot of surprising decisions. Kyron's gonna have better weeks. Devontae Smith's gonna have better weeks. Bijan's gonna have better weeks. This was a down week. I'm actually El Professor. I mean, where did I rank El Professor again? I ranked El Professor near the top. Yeah, near a top team. And they're 0-3. All right, so it's time to add a bold prediction, guys. It's time to add a bold prediction despite 0-3 start. Despite the 0-3 start. 0-3 start. I'm not going to go that bold, but I'm going to say El Professor rest of season winning record after an 0-3 start. Listen, for an 0-3 team, for me to say they're going to have a winning record is bold, but I think fairly bold. It's not crazy. But that's what I'm foreseeing for El Professor. I don't think it's time to put your head down. I'm telling you, Kyron's going to be great. Bijan's going to be great. Devontae's going to be great. Kelsey's going to be great. It's a matter of filling out this team. I think Ford's the guy, especially this week when Kareem we knew wouldn't get that much action. And Madison has enough usage for now until we know otherwise to also be worth the start. So I think there were some questionable starts here. But, oh, wow, no, your running back group is so full. You couldn't play another running back. You have to trade running back for wide receiver. That's obvious. That is so obvious. El Professor needs to trade. I'm going to add that as a note. El Professor needs to upgrade wide receiver via RB trade or QB. Okay, anyway, next one is Paco Libre going to 3-0. You got to celebrate him. You got to celebrate Paco Libre at this point. I had my hesitancies with this team, but clearly I'm probably not going to be right with that top half prediction. McCaffrey goes off, Mahomes goes off. And you got solid production elsewhere. I mean, Laporta, 21 points, looks like a very serviceable tight end for you. And your kicker defense Philly combination is always going to work for you as well. Now I get why Trevor Lawrence is on the block. It's the team that has Mahomes. I will say I'd still wait. I would wait it out until a team's desperate for quarterback or Lawrence has a better week. It makes a lot of sense for El Professor to trade for Trevor Lawrence. You might not get that much, but you at least get a decent. And let me facilitate a trade here. Tyler Lockett for Trevor Lawrence. No, probably a little bit more you want. Will he give up Ford for Trevor Lawrence? You do have Kamara coming back, so you might need wide receiver more. Lockett for Trevor Lawrence? Is that crazy? I don't think that's insane. If I was getting Trevor Lawrence, I'd want to do that. I'd give up Lockett. If I had Mahomes, would I give up Lawrence for Lockett? That's close. There's a trade value chart and whatever. Okay, so wow, there's a really long recap. All right, let's move on. Last matchup: Pain Train and Team Banditos. Did I finish though talking about Paco Libre? Yeah. I mean, I don't like some of the starts. I don't like DJ Moore all season. The rest of the season, I don't hate them. Moore, Judy, they're all London. I just think that's a really weak wide receiver group. So for you get Kamara coming back. You need wide receiver. It's desperation time getting wide receiver. So yeah, I would trade Trevor Lawrence for Lockett, or Trevor Lawrence and Judy for Devontae Smith. No, you're not gonna be able to get that. Trevor Lawrence and I'm not gonna facilitate a trade. Come on, that was a ridiculous one I just said, by the way. Whoever has Devontae, do not. El Professor, don't give Devontae up for that. Okay, for Pain Train and Banditos to close it out. So we saw Pain Train. I said fairly low on Pain Train, and they do fall, go to 1 and 2. I was saying Gibbs, if anyone's going to be your savior, and that's really what it came to. Is Gibbs needed to have that week without Monty, and he didn't have it. He went only 10 points. If he had 12 points, you win the game. If he had 11 points, you win the game. So that's very frustrating. But wow, that prediction at least panned out well week 1. But it's going to be up to Gibbs to save this team. And you go 1 and 2. I still think weaker team. Brees is on too bad of an offense. You're still worried about Gibbs' usage. They still use. I mean, the other guy, Craig Reynolds, I feel like 30% of the snaps, which I feel like is too much. Waller not getting much done. It's just Devontae's fantastic. 43 points from Devontae, and really will have better weeks. But it's just a middle-of-the-road team that I just can't see going too far. So I'm going to say I'm still low on Pain Train. And then for Banditos, you go to 2-1, even though you only had 0.9. We're going to be talking as if you guys had drastically different weeks. So for Banditos, everyone contributed here. Jalen Hurts, 24 points. Connor, 20 points. Kenneth Walker, 32 points. Stephon Diggs, 22 points. T had a bad week. Kirk, 14 points. T had a bad week. He was dealing with cramps. He looked bad. He tweeted, I'm going to do better next week, so let's just assume he's going to do better. But outside of that, basically everyone did well. I'm a little bit concerned with Njoku, but at tight end, you don't have many more options. And you get to get a win despite missing Saquon for one of the weeks. And he might play next week. Probably not. I would guess he misses one more week, but I don't really know. But either way, I mean, that's nice. To be able to escape a Saquon-less week with a win is huge. So with that being said, we're going to leave it at that. Very long recap. Wow. The other, I just did a different league. Not to say I'm cheating on you. 7 minutes. This is 21 minutes. That's crazy. All right.